Recently, we received a letter from one of our readers, Denis Simon, a former professor from the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill in the U.S. He decided to resign from the university due to an insurmountable philosophical gap between him and the academic community regarding engagement with China. Could you shed us some light on why U.S. universities are distancing themselves from China?
Because we've entered this new downward spiral in U.S.-China relations, U.S. university leaders are fearful that if they get too close to China, that the federal government will worry about so-called national security issues and related problems, and they will take away funding from other areas in the university.
When did such distancing China trend start?
I think it started, basically during the Trump administration, and when questions were raised about, is China's growth or China's rise a threat to the United States? And people began to focus on this idea that China represents an existential threat to the future well-being of the United States. And therefore, they began to think about ways to limit engagement with China, and words like delinking and decoupling, and now today de-risking, ways to engage with China to keep so-called threats to U.S. interests at a minimum. But that's leading to people to choose a kind of a go or no-go kind of approach. And the U.S. State Department right now rates China as a Category 3 country, which means that you should not go to China if you don't have to go.
Indeed, in April, a survey conducted by the Pew Research Center revealed 83% Americans held a negative view of China, and 25% Americans considered China to be more of an enemy than a competitor or a partner.
Well, this is a terrible development, and I think it's the product of the hyperbole that is coming out of the halls of Congress, that many people in the Congress are spouting off exaggerated claims about China that simply are not true. Or if in fact there are instances of one or two bad cases, they are painting the entire Chinese landscape, and that simply is just not the case. And collaboration between American scientists and Chinese scientists now has been the most productive collaboration in terms of publications in the best tier 1 referee journals.
In your opinion, what steps can be taken to improve the current atmosphere of mistrust?
Well, I think that we ought to go back to, number one, emphasis on people-to-people diplomacy. I think that's a very, very important part of getting the two countries to feel at ease with one another in terms of our interactions and engagements. I think that's very important. Number two, I think that we need some what I call small successes. Let's not try to be overly ambitious, but let's take one or two problems that we face. Let's work on them together. Let's restore the trust. And then once we've accomplished those one or two minor projects, let's take on bigger and more pressing projects. And as more confidence and more trust is built, we can go forward and become more ambitious and more assertive in terms of taking on the bigger issues that confront not only both countries, but also are confronting the world.
Undoubtedly, local exchanges and cooperation are fundamental to the improvement of relations. Strengthening this collaboration is a shared interest. Instead of interfering with exchanges between the two countries, the U.S. should take proactive steps to foster friendship.